I can't sleep. My hair's wet. I just got out of the shower. I haven't done one of these in a while. And I don't know, it's like usually I've taken sleep medicine, but I can't take sleep medicine tonight. I'm worried. Like, the reason I can't sleep is because I have a job interview tomorrow. It's my first job interview in 9 years. And like, part of my nervousness is fear that I won't wake up in time. But I'm also afraid that I won't sleep at all, that I won't get enough sleep to be calm, cool, and collected at this job interview. And, it's no small thing. Like, how this job interview goes makes or breaks me, pretty much. It determines, to a large extent, the course of the year for me. And maybe more. Just because I need it so bad. But I can't go in there to, where they can smell my desperation. That never helps you. Like, desperation, like acting or behaving in a desperate manner, generally doesn't help you with people. It doesn't help you get people to help you necessarily. It kind of freaks people out. So, and it's not my MO. It's, I know I'm going to go into this interview and I will be calm, cool, and collected, but I'm going to be a nervous wreck right until the moment I sit down and talk to the guy. And then, I have to let it go. I have to just, either I get the job or I don't, and I can only do my best. But that's the kind of nervousness, and this makes me extra nervous that I won't sleep, because I can get through things on no sleep, but it's so much better when I do have sleep. Like, believe it or not, I used to be on the road to becoming a minister. Like a preacher. Like, I'm not on that path anymore, but when I was in youth ministry, when I was running a youth program, sometimes I would have to preach on Sunday mornings, and it was the same kind of nervousness where, like, you have to be at your best the next day. And I think I never once slept the night before a sermon. Mainly because I was up writing my sermons the night before a sermon. But I was so nervous. Like, I couldn't think straight for like weeks if I knew that I had a date on the calendar that I was going to have to preach. Like, I would get all this anxiety about, well, I haven't written a sermon yet, so what if I don't have a sermon written by that day? What if, it's like my stage fright only exists before I get on the stage. Like, once I'm on the stage, I'm so comfortable, it's ridiculous. Like, anytime I have to do public speaking, the full extent of my anxiety is before I stand up in front of people. Like, once I get on the stage, it's like, oh yeah, this is where I go. This is me. This is my place. I'm going to speak to some people now. What's up? I'm not nervous at all. And so I know it'll be the same in this job interview. I'm going to be a nervous wreck. I won't be able to eat. I will pee 50 times before I leave the house, even if I don't have to, because I'm going to be so scared that I'm going to need to pee. But when I get there, like, I'm going to have all of these crazy fears. When, I mean, all it is just sitting down and talking with somebody. I can do that. I can do that just fine. You know, I can, if I don't know the answer to a question that's posed, I can BS my way through anything. I'm a master of BS. I'm a novelist, for gosh sakes. I mean, it's not going to be a problem for me. But it doesn't change the fact that right now in this moment, I have all of this anxiety. Like, I didn't have any clothes to wear. I had to go buy clothes. Because again, like I said, I haven't been on an interview in 9 years. I haven't tied a tie in 9 years. I had to buy a tie. It is untied right now. And so, and the thing about ties with me, like I only ever tie a tie once. And then I loosen it and take it off. And if I have to wear a tie again, I put it on and I tighten it. Straighten it out to the best of my ability and move on with my life. But I pretty much don't wear ties, ever. I didn't, like, I'd wear a suit without a tie when I preached, at funerals, weddings. I do not wear ties. Only to job interviews do I wear a tie. The last time I wore a tie was the last time I had a job interview. So, because once I got that job, tie, gone. Nope. I just think ties are really stupid and uncomfortable. They're stupid and uncomfortable. I want capes to come back. I would wear a cape to everything if that was the fashion for dressing up. Like, I'd be Biz Kaz Fry. I don't have any interest in that. I'm wearing a cape. I will wear a cape every day. Capes are cool. But ties? Why? Like, who came up with that? Who came up with, we should have this really long piece of cloth that we just tie around our necks. It'll be awesome. Everyone will be doing it. And then for some reason, everybody was. Why? Why? It wasn't comfortable when they came up with ties. It's not comfortable today. But what I found interesting is that you can't find a tie in this city. Like, we went to 3 or 4 stores. My friend Nick Smith went shopping with me because I hate shopping for clothes. And I needed an accountability partner so that I would do it. I'm like, why can't I just go to an interview in the nude? But, yeah, but no one had ties. No one sold ties. So, finally found one tie that looked good. And their selection at the store that finally had ties was tiny. They had very few. They had maybe 5 ties to choose from. 6 if you count the bow tie. Yeah. So now I have a tie, a horrible tie, and I've got to try. And I don't know how many hours it's going to take me to tie it properly. I have to look at a cheat sheet that I haven't looked at in 9 years. And then, I'm only going to wear this tie once if I get this job. If I don't, then I will have a tie ready to go to tighten up at the next job interview I get. But it took me years to get this job interview. It's so hard. Looking for jobs is so hard. Jobs that will pay. Because I just can't, I don't have the, I don't even know what you call it, but I don't have it. Whatever it is that people who work 2 or 3 jobs to barely get by have, I don't have that. I can't do that. I can't live to work and just for the pleasure of continuing to do that. I feel like if you're making a living and you can't live, what's the point? I need to live. I am tired of surviving. I need to live, so I really hope I get this job. Because I wouldn't have to have another job in order to survive. I'd be able to breathe for the first time in years. But in the meantime, I can't sleep. Because I'm like, do I stay up and tie that tie, or do I go to bed and hope I wake up with enough time to tie that tie and get to the interview on time? And I'm kind of letting go of that too. Like, that does not need to be a source of anxiety. Because the fact that nobody sells ties probably is a message that in the past 9 years, maybe ties have started going out of style. I've always wanted them to. Because they're so stupid. Like, maybe it's my opportunity to bring capes back. Like, if ties go out of style, I don't know. But, like, I kind of think the only people I ever see wearing ties are, like, old men and politicians. Man, if I were a politician, I wouldn't wear a tie. I wouldn't wear a tie on the campaign trail. I wouldn't pretend. But it's like job interviews. It's like ritualistic. It's like even if there's no tie wearing involved in the job you're applying for, which I'm pretty sure is the case at this job. Hopefully, otherwise I'm going to be violating the dress code, but I'll be cute about it. What was I saying? This without sleep meds. I'm just nervous. Yeah, if this is the sort of job where no tie is required, then it's like you still have to wear a tie to the interview. It's just expected. Like they look for things like, I know, I used to do job interviews when I worked at, for Barnes and Noble. It was, but I didn't give a crap about all that stuff. Like, but I was aware of it. I was aware of the things you were supposed to look for and you're supposed to ask. Like, if someone isn't wearing a tie to an interview, if a man isn't wearing a tie to an interview, well, then that's a sign of disrespect, and he must not really want this job if he's not even bothering to wear a tie. If he's not even bothering to tie a long cloth uncomfortably around his neck for absolutely no practical purpose, he must not really want this job. So you're taught to kind of give a bad mark in your head anyway about a person not wearing a tie to an interview. And the other part of the ritual that I think is absolutely stupid, it's like, they always ask, so, what are your weaknesses? And like, if you're in the know, you know that you're supposed to answer that question with a weakness that you can spin as a strength. So they're just backwards asking you for another strength. It's stupid. Like, it's like asking you to recite the alphabet backwards. Like, how is that necessary for a job? But if you're not in the know, then you're going to be like my sister at one job interview wasn't prepared for that question. It came up, as it always does. And she was like, what are your weaknesses? And she's like, I don't know, chocolate? She didn't get the job. And I mean, that's stupid. It's stupid. Like, maybe I'm going to say kryptonite. Because I have no respect for that question. I think it's so dumb. But I understand they're expected to ask it. It's job interviewer 101. You have to ask them backwards what another strength of theirs is. And if they can't answer it backwards, then they can't have a job. If you can't answer questions backwards, man, how? But if you do answer it, maybe Mr. Mixyazpitalik goes back to the fifth dimension. I don't know. I'm a comic book nerd, and I'm proud of that. Right, but so there's that. And then, there's like the drug test, which I've actually never, I've worked plenty of places that said there was a drug test, and I've never ever had to take one. But I think drug tests are as ridiculous as neckties. I don't understand why you care what your employees do in their free time. It's like, do you have a dashboard cam put in their cars to make sure that they're not speeding or running stop signs? Do you monitor their language to make sure they're not make them wear a camera around their neck so that you can just monitor their appropriate behaviors or inappropriate behaviors when they're at home, or what you perceive to be their appropriate or inappropriate behaviors? I just think it's ridiculous, because to me, if someone goes home and snorts coke and shoots up heroin and smokes pot and gets drunk, why is it different from getting drunk? Just laws. So I'll cut that one out. Illegal stuff. If they do that, snort coke, shoot up heroin, and smoke some weed to relax at the end of the day after a after a hard day's labor for your fine company, like, and even more so, they need more to relax if you make them wear a long piece of cloth tied uncomfortably around their neck for no practical reason whatsoever. Like, they take off their tie, they do some drugs, and they check out, they watch some mind-numbing television on the Disney Channel. They watch, I don't know what's on the Disney Channel. They watch reruns of Dog with a Blog. I mean, I can relate to the Dog with the Blog, not to the heroines. But I watch Dog with a Blog stone sober. But, yeah, so they do that, and then they show up the next day to work completely sober and on time, and they do their job magnificently, wearing their extremely long piece of cloth tied uncomfortably around their neck for no practical reason whatsoever, with a smile. But they do their job, then they go home, cycle continues. Who cares? If you're their employer and all you should care about is the fact they show up on time, do their job brilliantly, smile while wearing a long piece of cloth tied uncomfortably around their neck for no practical reason whatsoever, and go home. That's all that you should care about, is whether they can do their job well. If they're efficient at their job, then who cares what they do when they go home? And if they actually do show up to work stoned, but they manage to do all of the, the routine, kids. I don't have to go through how much I hate neckties again, but they do their job well, even though they're stoned. For all we know, you can't even tell they're stoned. I knew someone who worked at Bookstop who couldn't do her job unless she was stoned. And it's understandable. That job, man. I get it. I don't know how any of us did it sober. But she did her job incredibly well. And she was high as a kite. If we drug tested her, we would have lost a really good employee. And that doesn't make any sense to me. Now, if you show up to work stoned and you cannot do your job, then it makes sense to me that you would lose your job. You don't need a drug test, because it doesn't matter why you can't do your job. It only matters that you can't do your job. So to me, why bother with a drug test? Because if someone can't do their job, that is why you let them go. And if someone can do their job, why are you looking for a reason to fire them? It makes as much sense as neckties to me. And backwards questions about one of your strengths. It's absolutely ridiculous, but it's this getting a new job ritual. And I'm feeling less nervous about all of it by just thinking about it in terms of its absurdity. Because it is absolutely absurd. The whole thing. But, I've been through it all before. And this place I know does drug tests, so I'll have my first work drug test if I do get hired. So that'll be a new experience, I guess. I wonder how it works. I don't even know. Do they watch you pee? I hope not. Like, it's hard for me to pee if someone's watching me. I never use like public urinals for that very reason. I just can't do it. I can't let it out. It won't go. It's like my pee is shy. I don't know. But I don't know. It's something I have to do. It's something I get to do. Like, really, I get to go through this absurd ritual that I've been trying to go through for a few years now. I've been trying to find a steady day job rather than work in the gig economy that's unreliable. Like, you do what you can do. That's all I've been doing. And I haven't been able to go to an interview. So yes, they're absurd, but I am privileged to be able to go to one tomorrow. Well, today, technically, it's 1:03 in the morning. So, yeah, it's this morning. I have this interview. And right, so, but again, the necktie stress. If I can't tie it, then I will proudly go without a tie. Like, I'm gonna let go of that one. Like, if ties are, I think I was getting at that. If ties are on the out anyway, like if they're on their way out of fashion, soon to be replaced by shoes that you actually nail into your feet for, like, or whatever could take the place of a necktie, then maybe it won't matter that, like, maybe 9 years ago it mattered whether you wore a tie to an interview. Maybe in 2022 it does not. But plus, I can rock a suit without a tie, no problem, because I always do. Like, I will not wear a tie to this job after the interview. Not gonna happen. Maybe I'll wear a tie to the drug test. Like, maybe I'll wear it around my head just so they look at me dubiously. It's like, I mean, do we even need to bother? Like, we're just gonna say you failed, okay? I don't know. But yeah, so I'm less nervous. Thanks for letting me talk. Thanks for letting me talk this out. These I can't sleep videos are kind of like my therapy sessions. Now that I can't afford counseling anymore. So thanks for being my therapist. Thanks for practicing without a license. Please don't feel obligated to wear neckties when you're watching these videos to look like you're a professional counselor. I'm trying to remember if any of my shrinks ever wore ties. I only had one male shrink in recent years, like in the past years, like back when I was a kid, I had this horrible, evil psychiatrist I was forced to go to. He wore a tie. He was a bastard. I mean, that's what I mean, it was his office. He didn't have to wear a tie. There was no one making him wear a tie. Like, if somebody's that, like, uncomfortable on purpose, like, just because, there's something wrong with them. There's got to be something wrong with you. Like, if you're the boss and you're wearing a tie, if you enjoy wearing a long piece of cloth tied tightly around your neck for no practical reason whatsoever, there is something wrong with you. Unless you're like the sub in an S&M relationship, then neckties, I guess, make sense. I don't know. But the point I'm making is, I feel better now. I feel better now that we've had this talk. I hear. Can y'all hear that siren? Someone's car alarm is going off. Someone's probably stealing my car because I have an interview tomorrow. Nah, it's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna start looking up for me. I'm gonna be optimistic and laugh about the absurdity of the ritual I have to go through tomorrow, that I get to go through tomorrow, that I'm privileged to go through tomorrow. And yeah, another thing I do, one last thought on all this, and going back to when I would preach and do public speaking, I learned a trick to always make plans for later that day. Because for some reason, I always, whenever I would have to do a public speaking thing, my hair, I always air dry my hair. It would feel like it was the end of the world. That would be the flavor of the anxiety. Is there is no future for me beyond this public speaking engagement. I will be dead by the time we get to this thing. By the time my engagement is over, I will pass away on the stage. That will be the end of my story. So, to alleviate that feeling, I started making plans for later that same day, and it really did help me to get through the thing that was causing me anxiety, because I had another target to focus on. Tomorrow I have public speaking engagement, but tomorrow I also have going out to play pool with my friends or whatever, or going to see a movie, or going out to lunch. So for this one, it's I have job interview tomorrow, and I had made plans, not even thinking about it in those terms. I had made plans to shoot a Conversations in Sunglasses video with my friend Molly after that interview. But I didn't know I had the interview when I made those plans, is why I wasn't thinking of it in those terms. But then I found out I had the interview smack in the middle of that day, and I was like, okay, good. I already have something planned after it that I can focus on. Alright, don't focus on the interview. The interview is just a thing you have to do before you do Conversations in Sunglasses with Molly. And that's a trick I recommend. Well, my camera just died. The battery died, but it's plugged in now, sucking electricity out of my walls. I hope all of that recorded. So where was I? I was saying, yes, always make plans for after something you have coming up that is giving you anxiety, like public speaking, job interviews, doctor's appointments, awkward family gatherings or something where all of your relatives hate you and think you're going to hell. Plan something for after the fact and let that be your primary focus. But then, so I find out, and I had to let Molly know that I had a job interview smack in the middle of the morning, or the late morning, early afternoon. So she needed to do the Conversations in Sunglasses earlier in the day. So now we're going to do it Friday. So then I had nothing to focus on after the meeting, the interview. But I have two friends who work for this company, and they both have texted me after the interview, come to my office. After the interview, let's go get lunch. So now I can focus on, alright, I'm going to have lunch with my friends. I'm going to get to see my buddies tomorrow. Once I get through this job interview, then I'm going to go hang out with my pals. So that's what I'm going to focus on. Trying to get some sleep tonight. And everything's going to be fine. It's like, gosh, I need this job. I need this job. But yeah, you can only do what you can do, and like I said, I feel much better. Thank you. Thank you, therapists out there who don't know your therapist. Just, that's all therapy really is. Good therapists just listen, and they guide you. And this is kind of what my therapy sessions were, my counseling sessions were. Like, I would counsel myself and they would just listen. But I needed them there. And I mean, they did guide me a lot. They gave me a lot of good stuff. But for the most part, this is what I would do. Like, I always thought it was kind of funny. Like, that I'm just in there chattering and having epiphanies and they're like, you did really good work today. But I had some really great counselors, that said. But anyway, I'm just rambling at this point. I really need to, like, my shirts are in the dryer. I probably need to go. I need to go figure out if I can tie a tie tightly around my neck for no practical reason whatsoever. But I'm going to give it a shot. So if you would like to continue to be my counselor from time to time when I can't sleep, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you like this video, I appreciate you clicking the thumbs up thingy. Just because, it makes me feel loved and validated a little bit. So, I mean, that's all I got for you. That's all I got for you tonight. And it was very self-serving. It was very self-serving of me, and that's not an apology, just an acknowledgement. So, until next time, thanks for sitting up with me.